Speaks up the inside, has a bit of a look. Oh, he's actually bumped the Pertec forward. They're going to go side by side under brakes. Marcus fights back. Lowndes, boy oh boy. Look at Scaife here, really giving him plenty. Headlights on, goes up the inside. Good drive from the TWR prepared car.
Both those guys handled themselves very well. I mean, Marcus caught it and Mark didn't go on with it. So if he'd sort of gone on with it, it could have actually got a bit messier, but no point in either of them being off the road. Black flag for Paul Morris, so we'll try and get word on what that's about. Some on-track infringement. Now, Scaife's best position here. He'll make that pretty easy, I think.
Current race leader, Paul Morris, has been shown a black flag. Not sure of the infringement. Apparently it's for curb hopping.
There's actually tyre bundles on the insides of some of the corners, and you'll see them in various places. And if you nail those repeatedly and shift them, which is what they're really trying to stop you from doing, then they take a dim view of it.
So the order at the moment is Morris. Kelly is up to second now, and Morris has yet to perform his pit stop. So Todd Kelly is the #1 man in this race at the moment. Murphy, Mazira, Lowndes, Ambrose, Scaife, Radicic and Bargwan are the top 10.
Still about 6.7 seconds, the gap between Craig Lowndes and Greg Murphy. So Lowndes at the moment was making inroads there, but Murphy's been able to respond. And here is the big Kev machine. Serve
22.6 the last time round for Kelly, so he continues to show very strong pace.
Substantially quicker than anybody else. I mean,
23.5 the last time for Murphy, so he's nearly a second quicker on that lap than his teammate. Lowndes, by comparison, at 23.2.
Todd Kelly is on his way to his first V8 Supercar win if he can maintain this pace.
No, he had a win in Canberra.
Oh, he did too. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah. So another good way. To be a great way to finish the year for him.
He sure has come on, for such a young kid. Really good.
Watching the racing from the sidelines in the warmth of a garage, Stevie Johnson, what happened?
I don't know. We came out of Dandenong Road, and the car just developed a misfire, like it was on 7 cylinders, and I got down to the next corner, and it just all stopped. So it's obviously had a failure in the engine somewhere.
Paint the picture for us. What's it like for these guys driving in the conditions that we're experiencing now?
Well, as you can probably tell, we were going pretty good, and I quite liked it, but you know, it's just one of those things that we can't help now, and we're just going to have to really storm through from the back of the grid in the next race and try to salvage some points for our spot in the championship. But it's not that bad, really, apart from the oil that was put down.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.
And no luck for Steve Johnson, but plenty of good fortune at the moment for this man, Todd Kelly. He leads the way in race 2 of the V8 Ultimate here at Sandown. Faulkner yet to pit. Likewise, well, we know Paul Morris is already in. Murphy is really second, Lowndes third. Mark, Scaife, Ambrose is ahead of Radicic. Will he be able to hang on?
Most of the compulsory stops have been made, apart from Cameron McConville there in 11th spot, right down to David Bernard in 16th in the Caltex Ford.
We're nearing closer and closer to the halfway mark of this 48-lap race, and we've still got another one to go later this afternoon, another 150 kilometres worth. Stay with us. Gates from Sandown. This is the V8 Ultimate. Paul Radicic, the Rat, currently sits a little further down the order in 7th position in the Shell Helix Ford. And look how difficult the conditions are here at Sandown.
6.6 seconds between Todd Kelly and Faulkner, who is yet to make his compulsory stop. He's still out there. It's Murphy 4.9 seconds further behind Faulkner. So Murphy is effectively about 13 seconds behind his teammate. Oh, problems Morris here for Morris.
Exit of turn 1.
And he would have had to make 2 stops. He had to come in and do his stop-go penalty, go out and then come in and make his compulsory stop.
The track's now gone to what you'd describe as heavy wet, as Rodney Ford says, a big understeer off at turn 1. It's now heavy wet, and the times have tumbled a couple of seconds accordingly. It really is a very wet track, and very difficult for drivers here to sometimes reset their rhythm. What they had one lap doesn't apply the next lap in terms of grip, and you can see that shot as they come up the back straight, just how dirty it is. Or in fact, I think that's the end of the front straight.
Yeah, I was saying to Neil in the break that the first turn 1 must have improved, because before they were spearing off left, right and centre with any amount of surface water there.
Cameron McConville's coming in for an unscheduled stop here. He's already completed one, but if you look down on pit lane here, this will give you an idea how treacherous the conditions are. We'll show you the rainbow effect from the oil that's fallen on pit lane with all the water continuously falling down. Now, I also want to show you this little jigger here. I've just been into the Valvoline Cummins race team. This little piece of metal has a cable tie around it and a rag. That's what Garth Tander has been using while he's been racing out there in these treacherous conditions to try and wipe the windshield down. By the way, Baz, they said thanks for your undies. And is that Cam's approved?
Yeah.
No Mex undies?
Someone may be wondering at home why he has that on that aluminium extension. It's because they're strapped so tightly into the seat they're nowhere near reaching the screen with their bare hands, so they've got to put the cloth on an aluminium extension to be able to reach the screen. That's hard work out there.
You've got to feel sorry for him. It's bad enough as it is. I mean, even if the screen's clear, isn't it, without a fogged up screen.
Did a race here a few years ago in a WGR car with the screen heater failed and the windscreen wiper failed.
Lovely.
Was that the same race you were looking at your watch going up the back straight?
I think it might have been, actually. Praying for 5 o'clock.
Shell Helix race score, and as you can see, there's only one guy in that top run who has not completed the compulsory stop. That's John Faulkner. He's in second, which really elevates Murphy to second, Lowndes to third, Scaife to fourth, Ambrose to fifth, Bradisich to sixth, Bargwanna seventh, Richards eighth, Ingle ninth, and Ellery 10th.
I wonder if the Faulkner crew are waiting for the weather to fine up so they can take advantage of that compulsory stop. I think they're going to be waiting a long time. No, this is really setting in, isn't it?
Lowndes was quick again on that lap relative to everybody else.
25.28 for the Gibson Motorsport Falcon. Here is the enforcer, Ingle. And we hear on the radio that he's been complaining something about gearbox, whether it's...
Well, let's have a listen. We might be able to hear. He's up to 11th now. Second gear through here. Sounds fine.
The interesting thing is, too... Oh, look, what's he... looking down at a problem there.
That it looked... I'd say that's more to do with the roll bar adjustment, because the gear shift was smooth.
Russell, the gap is only 4 seconds now.
I'm not sure if Russell can see out of his rearview mirror at the moment, but Jason Bright is catching him hand over fist. He's lapping much faster than the Castrol Commodore.
I don't think he can actually see very well. I think so. That's his biggest issue at the moment.
And keep in mind, Ingle has to finish in front of Bright in this race if he's going to hold on to that second place in the championship.
Yeah, he's looking around the court. Whoa, someone's gone.
Scaife. Whoa, dear.
Now, can he stop it down here?
It was a good catch.
Whoa. Well, that's an indication of how treacherous it is out there at the moment. Scaife's been off on the grass on a number of occasions already this race, so if the champ's in trouble, you know it's tough.
Well, tough out there, but slick in the pit stops most definitely. Take a look at this. This is the time recorded by Mark Scaife's pit stop. An 8.9, the first ever recorded during a race, confirmed by the team. That is the pit stop. How quick can you get these times down, Jeff Grant, in your pit stops? They're amazing.
Well, Grant, probably the last couple of months we've been snowed in the stops by Kmart, so there's a bit of rivalry between the two teams. But look, there's probably more competition in pit lane and out on the circuit at the moment. Everyone's trying to obviously get it down pat. I think it's not that you're going to get any quicker. It's just a matter of getting the 4 guys synchronised and doing a perfect stop all at the same time. So it's really hard. It's quite exciting, actually. You're watching, you see one slip and you think, oh, is he going to do it in time? But look, when they get it right, they're fantastic. And probably an 8.5 is probably about the best stop you'd see, given that the rules with the wheel nuts that you have to use and the guns.
We'll keep it up. It's definitely a part of a race-winning strategy. So we'll see you do it in the next race, hopefully.
I hope so. Cheers. Bye.
Well, Russell Ingle has fallen into the clutches of Jason Bright. In fact, Bright's got in front of Ingle. Yeah. So the battle for second place in this championship, if it stays that way, will go down to the final race.
The last time through, Todd Kelly again showing real superior speed compared to the next bunch of cars behind him. Had a huge margin. There he is. And if you look at this track at the moment, you can see that it's got a real heavy shine to it everywhere, which means that you're just literally all at sea. No longer got those groove advantages that you saw earlier on.
The other interesting thing about that previous lap, Neil, was that when Scaife went flying across the grass there on the approach to Dandenong Road, he was faster than the 3 cars in front of him.
He's gone down into the 123s. There's something like 16 seconds between he and his teammate Greg Murphy.
The last lap from Jason Bright was 126.7. The last lap from Ingle was 131. So I think.
Well, here's a comparison. Kelly last lap 23.8, Murphy 25.9. It's nearly a 2-second margin. So the car's working good. I mean, it's a two-way street, this thing. It's the driver and the car. You've got to have the combination of both. There's plenty of good drivers out there. Maybe their car's not working well.
It's a fascinating story, Todd Kelly's development as a V8 supercar driver. In the early years, he admits he really had a trouble getting a handle on just how you drove these cars. But the trouble was he'd learned the disciplines from driving a Formula Holden, and driving one of these cars on the limit, a totally different requirement. He said what really flicked the switch in his head was they went to a test day at Winton, and they actually strapped him in alongside,
he went for a ride
alongside Mark Scaife and Craig Lowndes when he was driving for HRT, and all of a sudden, just feeling it through the seat of his pants, he understood what was required to drive the car on the limit. Got in the car and went out like 1 second, 1.5 seconds faster straight away. And from there, it's just been an amazing climb to the top.
He was just fabulous to watch in open wheelers in the smaller categories in Formula 4. Then he stepped up to the very fast and powerful Formula Holden category, and he was just very, very quick in both of those. When he raced against Ambrose and Tander in the 97 Formula 4 Championship. And look at this, he's dominating this second race of the V8 Ultimate as he flashes by Russell Ingall.
He said one of the hardest things he had to adapt to driving one of these cars was the braking. In a Formula Holden, you sort of drive up the corner, brake and turn in. This requires a totally different technique.
Went down to the Perkins garage and had a word to some of the team down there. They tell me that Russell's having real problems seeing out the front of his car, and when he drove past moments ago, the windshield looks all smoky. Apparently the demister is not working properly, and they believe there's some big cracks in that windshield. They're not sure whether something has flicked up onto the windscreen during this race, but for some reason the demister has failed, and it's causing big problems for Russell.
Oh, look at that.
I don't think it's working at all.
No, it looks terrible, doesn't it?
It is completely blocked. This is 250 kilometres an hour, folks, if you can believe. You can just see the odd bit of white line on the edge of the track. Jason
Bright.
There's more than one car.
Just go, John Faulkner.
So Faulkner involved with that as well, and there's damage to the front of the Holden Racing Team Commodore. We'll try and get a better look at that. Faulkner had only just made his compulsory stop, one of the last cars to do so, probably the last car in the field to do so, and he's got tangled up with Bright, who'd taken Russell Ingall. He's keeping this battle for second in the championship alive. So, damage to the front of the Dynapack Commodore. Let's have a look at the replay, Neil.
Well, John will be on cold tyres or semi-cold tyres, and I think Jason's had a look down the inside but couldn't get it done cleanly. Got a long way up.
And he lost the rear of the Holden Racing team.
Because John turned in and was heading to the apex, and there's a big tyre bundle there, so there's nowhere to go, so Bright's locked it up. Had a half lose, very little damage, I'd say.
Yeah, doesn't look too bad, does it?
More frustration for both parties.
Great Jason Bright maintains 11th. And that threat from Russell Ingall no longer a threat, as Russell has dropped back to 15th now. Lap 31 of 48. It's going to be a hard day's work here at Sandown. If conditions remain as is, there's another one of these races still to come this afternoon. Same distance. Another 48 lapper, 150 kilometres worth. Some damage to the driver's side mirror there on Bright's HRT Commodore.
So the order is Todd Kelly, 17 seconds up the road from his teammate Greg Murphy. So it remains a Kmart Racing 1-2. Craig Lowndes, the best of the Fords, 6 seconds behind Murphy. And that gap has remained fairly static since the compulsory stop. Here's the man in second place who dominated the previous round in New Zealand. And Pukakari was in brilliant form there, pole position and 3 race wins. No one touched him all weekend.
Notice they've got a bigger wiper sweep on their car than Russell does on his. And the Kmart car sweeps fully to the left.
Well, someone who we haven't seen a great deal of today is Jason Bargwanna. He's had a good weekend. Qualified 19th, finished yesterday in 9th and still running in 7th. Now, action continues on your home of motorsport. We've got the uncut version of the Mick Doohan special. And this runs for a full hour. You can see that 3 p.m. That's Eastern on the 16th of December. And the big end-of-year function, the Black Tie Gala dinner for the Shell Championship Series is on this Monday night. You can see it on air, though, on the 9th of December from 4:30 p.m. That's the V8 Gala Awards.
Just keep an eye on the background there. Craig Lowndes, he's actually closed the gap by a couple of seconds to Greg Murphy in second. It's down to 4.4.
His last lap time was a 23.1, which made him the star of that lap. Everybody else was in the 24s and 5s.
So this battle for second place isn't over yet. Craig Lowndes still got his head down. It'll be interesting to watch that gap as these final laps unfold.
As the Gary Rogers Valvoline Cummins Commodore of Jason Bargwanna has been the better performer of the two this weekend, that's for sure, and he maintains his 7th position. We're grinding out the laps here at Sandown and everyone is chasing Kelly, but look at the margin between the teammates, 16, almost 17 seconds.
Stephen Ellery and Jason Richards, good job by the Team Kiwi boys. Jason Bright critically, he's a long way in front of Russell Ingall now, and that'll be good for the championship for HRT.
And only the top 11 on the lead lap. The action continues right after this. Stay with us on your home of motorsport, Network 10. Some 14 seconds in the lead. The 22-year-old Kmart Commodore driver Todd Kelly has dominated this second race of the V8 Ultimate and is going from strength to strength and is really driving a very smart race, Neil Crompton, in these trying conditions.
He's doing a great job. Last time through 22.6. Everybody around him is in a similar time frame. Murphy 22.5, Lowndes 22 flat, Scaife 22.2, and Mark just set a new fastest lap of the race, just a lap or two back. But the drive from Kelly's been an excellent drive, hasn't it? He's got a good margin, 14 seconds. He can afford to be a bit conservative now when he chooses who to pass and where to pass them, and really just needs to keep it all straight and not make contact with any of the back markers here, and he's sweet.
And for our viewers in New Zealand, you'll be delighted with your boys' efforts. Jason Richards is in the top 10. He is running in 9th position at the moment. Greg Murphy currently second, and around about 2.5 seconds ahead of Craig Lowndes, but keeping a watchful eye in that rearview mirror.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's responded to that Lowndes challenge. It's really been watching these lap times. They're just so close, sometimes separated by 1/100th of a second between Lowndes and Murphy over 3.1 kilometres. In these slippery conditions, that's quite extraordinary. Here's our man, Jason Richards.
Oh, dear.
Just turns it on for the cameras. I must have known we were watching.
He fixed him up, didn't he?
Yeah.
I remember he went very, very well in the rain at Winton, so it's a great equaliser, the rain, Neil, isn't it? I mean, you can have some old bucket of rubbish and sort of still. I did not insinuate that this is a bucket of rubbish by any stretch of the imagination, but you could be in a car that they're all in hysterics.
Just restate your name and phone number so that nobody rings us.
dig your way out of that one, Bazza.
No, it's look at this Scaife.
Same thing again,
exactly
same corner.
Same thing again.
Well, he did a very fast lap doing that last time, so maybe you found that's the hot way through.
What I was trying to say was basically you can be in something that is not exactly 100% competitive.
Yes.
And you should see they're all in hysterical laughing as I try and dig my way out of the mire.
That's interesting. I just look at that Scaife incident going across the grass. He just set his new fastest lap on that lap.
Really?
A 1:21.56. So that's the quick way to get to Dandenong Road.
Marcus Ambrose has done a good job defending and holding Paul Radicic at bay. Marcus is currently 5th, Radicic 6th.
Just popped my head into the Kmart Racing Garage and had a quick word with team boss Rob Crawford. He tells me no plans to do anything. They want to keep the boys as they are. There's a lot of fingers crossed down here for a Kmart 1-2 at present.
They had a magnificent time in New Zealand, courtesy of this guy. Greg Murphy with that clean sweep at Pukekohe. Now it's his teammates' turn to stand on the top step of the podium, and he'll do that in just 5 laps' time.
Finished second in the Australian Drivers' Championship back in 1998, Todd Kelly. He was also third in the Australian Formula Ford Championship in the same year. He took his first V8 heat win on the streets of Canberra, the GMC 400 last year. He's only had 28 championship starts. He's already been on the podium twice. This will be an incredible moment if he can bring home victory here.
We should point out too that his 18-year-old brother, younger brother, Rick, is competing this weekend. His V8 Supercar debut by himself, that is. He has done the Enduros, the Queensland 500 and the V8 Supercar 1000, and Rick is back in 23rd position.
Paul Radicic currently running 6th in the sole remaining Shell Ford. Saw Stephen Johnson go out much earlier in the event. Suspected engine failure. Radicic has not been able to move out of this spot. Ambrose about 1.8 seconds up the road. That's him up in the mist and spray there just ahead. So So positions remaining fairly static as the race started to settle down after that stop. This man has tried everything he knows to close the gap to Greg Murphy, but he's been unsuccessful so far. It was down to just over 2 seconds at one stage.
Yeah, it's increased now
3.6. Yeah.
And it's actually the gap between he and Mark Scaife has closed up a little bit as he just grabs a drink.
4 laps remaining for race leader Todd Kelly. 11 seconds now the gap between him and his teammate Greg Murphy. Here's Lowndes, 4.4 seconds the gap behind Murphy. So maybe now he's accepted his fate as third position and just bring it home.
Well, I think it's been a very positive weekend for the Gibson Motorsport team. They had a lightning pit stop yesterday that put Craig into that top 3 position. They outsmarted the Castrol Holden team, put him ahead of Russell Engel in pit lane, and 2 podiums from 2 races is a nice way to end the year. He'll be looking for a strong result in this one as well. Here's Stephen Richards a little further back in 8th position behind Jason Bargwanna. There's not much between those guys.
Doing better than the team boss at the moment. Glenn Seaton's back in 18th. Stephen Richards well inside the top 10.
I've got to say, yesterday Craig's car looked fantastic, didn't it, in the drive? Looked